and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris.
Lee.
I'm never going to get used to this internet lag. We're going to have to all get together in one room at some point, aren't we?
It's revolutionary.
Yeah, season review, definitely.
Pardon?
It's definitely for the season review, I'd have thought.
Yes.
Yeah, book the following day off work, because that might be a late one. A bit like the way this season started. How are we all this week?
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, all right.
Fine.
Okay.
Fine.
Just want to kick off... Sorry, just want to kick off with an apology to Patreon subscribers, because we've not had time to record a separate Patreon podcast this week, but as always, we'll make up for it at some point, promise. Because Chris needs to do some recording, and apparently so do I.
That will be worth the wait.
Not with the song that's been requested the most for me to do. It won't. No. Doesn't need to be done. And just want to wish happy birthday to Jane, one of our iRacing regulars, Twitter regulars and Discord regulars.
Oh, and also happy birthday to patron Kieran Thompson as well.
Oh yes, the big 3-0 at the weekend.
Yeah, big supporter of the show and obviously supporter of our individual musical projects as well.
Has a weekly show on Vectis Radio, streams it online, have a listen, plays some really good stuff on there. It's all new music, basically, and he has been known to play some tracks by, well, 3 of us.
Yes.
And interview some of us as well.
Never bloody spoken to me. Then again, I haven't released anything since 2013, so that's probably got something to do with it. Yeah,
that'll be it.
Right, I'll get my arse in gear. Anyway, Formula One, Turkish Grand Prix. What a race!
Yeah, it was. We were talking, weren't we, about how the Tilke dromes never appear to really work apart from this one. Would usually produce some good races, and Circuit of the Americas. This one just produced an absolute classic. Yes, it was all down to do with the weather and the slight mixed up grid that we got on Saturday. But
and don't forget though the resurfacing through a big curveball as well.
Well, yeah, that was part of it too. Because obviously the water wasn't draining properly off of the circuit; it was just lifting the oils. And everybody knows water and oil do not mix.
No, that is true. You just get slippery water.
Correct. It makes it even worse.
So yeah, I mean, starting on Friday. I mean, we normally don't do a review of the full weekend, but I think this kind of warrants it, because starting on Friday, everyone was complaining it was like driving on ice. It was too cold to get the tyres heated up. There wasn't enough grip to get the tyres going. Lost count of the number of drivers complaining of spins, some multiples. And then Saturday, it decides to just chuck it down.
It chucked it down, not even just like by a little bit though, did it? It was proper torrential rain. I mean, FP3 was basically, it looked like a bunch of drivers who didn't know what they were doing in machines they had never operated before. It was bizarre, but also you kind of got the feeling that then set the tone for the rest of the weekend. But it kind of didn't.
Well, qualifying was an interesting one. A couple of red flags. One for the weather, one for Grosjean.
You're looking at me. I didn't watch
You
qualifying.
didn't see qualifying, did you? You were at work. But yeah, the two red flags during qualifying. That caused a few worries.
It caused a few worries because, well, I know some people disagree with the first red flag, didn't they? Because it was just like, well, it's raining a bit. Bloody hell, we used to see cars go out in worse than this. But the thing is, with the modern Formula One cars, they're so reliant on downforce. Like, you know, if the water's messing with that, and the zero grip means you've got no control over the car, so it's not safe.
Yeah, I mean, in the dry, those things can hug the ground like nobody's business. We've all heard, if you could drive one on the roof of a tunnel if you got it up to speed, etc., etc.
Yeah, you probably could with an old one as well. But I mean, there was mechanical grip and aero grip, and these cars are heavily reliant on aero grip.
Which, of course, is going to be one of the regulations that gets changed in a couple of years. But, I mean, the number of tweets that sounds, they're the best drivers in the best cars. Yeah, but the cars need a certain amount of clearance off the ground to actually work, and with the standing water on the track, they don't have that clearance, and even if all four tyres are touching the road, there's still a high chance of them aquaplaning. Because the cars aren't pulling themselves down to the road to actually force the tread through the water.
I think it was a special situation as well here, isn't it? Because you had so much trouble with the surface as well. You know, it was just like double trouble.
Oh, he's disappeared
for the whole weekend as far as grip went. Even when it was dry, they were spinning.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Friday's the case in point. No, you're back now.
Who's disappeared?
Lee disappeared and then came back exactly where he was mid-word about 2 seconds later.
Yay!
And didn't do it for me.
How weird.
Are we downloading the entire internet again?
I'm not.
Bloody Windows updates.
Probably.
But the issue is those cars just aren't designed to run full tilt in the wet, and with the way that F1 teams are trying to cut costs now, they can't bring the whole wet setup unless it's a guarantee more or less 100% that it's going to be throwing it down all weekend, and you've just got to play the odds and play the numbers. And the weather forecast was meant to be predominantly dry for the weekend, so you're not going to be able to make these changes. Plus, you can't.
Well, the weather forecast, like even the week before, had Saturday and Sunday as wet.
Not as wet, and not as much rain as actually happened.
No, but because I think it was WTF1 had put that out on the Monday of race week that it was forecast for rain for Saturday and Sunday, because there was a whole thing of, well, this is obviously not going to happen, is it?
That's the thing. You can't go all in on a forecast 5 days out.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
I'm pretty sure anything after 3 days, over 3 days, get complete guesswork, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah. And the other thing, of course, being if it wasn't going to be as rainy on Sunday as was predicted, you can't do a lot with the cars between them leaving the pits at the start of qualifying, and effectively between then and when you get to the grid. So if it's going to be, if you think it's going to be a dry race, you have to sacrifice qualifying, which is why I think Racing Point did well, because they obviously had a more wet setup on the car, succeeded with it in qualifying, and then the rain on Sunday and the wet conditions on Sunday were a bonus for them because they could carry on how they were being successful with the wet setup.
I think it was more to do with how the cars were turning the tyres on, to be perfectly honest, than what setup they had, because it wasn't even there was nothing consistent through it. Different cars were switching things on at different times. It was kind of a bit of a lottery, wasn't it, when you're whether the race was going to come to you or not.
Or in the case of Bottas, when you were going to spin again.
That was insane.
6 spins, I think that was.
Yeah, but I mean, when you've got your teammate, which ends up winning possibly one of the best wins he's had in Formula One, and you can't keep the car on the track. That's very strange. I'm not just jumping on Bottas here because we've never seen that from him before. It was. We've seen Lewis dominate a race and Bottas be 6th and unhappy, but not 16th.
Yeah, it was an odd one. We'll get to that later, but we'll do the usual and start at the back. And the Haas part
won't take as long to get to Bottas then.
I think by average, Lewis is going to drag him forward a bit, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, because I do the list, I have put Mercedes last because we talk about the obvious headline that everyone's been talking about. But in terms of when you look at the first three teams that are there that had drivers that did not finish, and then the drivers finished next to each other, Bottas is the next driver up from those three teams.
Well, the big Mercedes headline of the weekend: Toto Wolff wearing 2 masks at once.
But one of them was on his chin.
Yeah, solid mask and cloth mask. I did spot that.
I've seen that quite a lot from drivers, though. I've seen Hamilton do that as well.
Somebody going to say something?
I thought I was waiting for you to
I thought
introduce what we were
waiting
talking
to
about.
start from the back.
Ah, right, okay.
Tell us who's at the
I
back.
think we're having internet woes because I did say something then.
Right. While I'm sat here choking, Haas get the participation award for this week.
Near wanker incident with the pit stops.
Oh, as it turned out, it wasn't.
False wanker.
It was false wankering.
Yeah, the wheels were on fine, weren't they? But they told him to stop.
Just in case there weren't.
It's not really
Yeah,
how a
but
fast
then
pit
because
stop
it-
goes.
He was just over the line as well, so he wasn't allowed to get the push back. So he had to make his own way, sort of in reverse, slightly up the pit lane, which is, I'm pretty sure that's a penalty.
I think that's
But
a
I don't know
big
how they
no.
didn't yeah, but I don't know how they didn't let that. They let that go, and then the Haas engineers pulled him back to the pit box to then go, "Oh no, everything's fine. Yeah, you just wasted a lap. Sorry, guys."
Yeah, I think the marshals actually pushed him back a little
I think
bit.
I think they would have been involved.
That is allowed.
I think they can push you back over the line, and then the team can.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to reverse under your own power.
You are
I think
not.
he may have reversed under his own power, but I'll reserve judgment.
That would mean sitting down to watch that bit again, which was possibly the least interesting incident of the race. And Grosjean taking himself out and Latifi.
Oh, I forgot
I
he
can't
had
really
the
remember
spin
what
with
happened with
Latifi.
Grosjean.
He barged into Latifi and it kind of finished his race, and I think Latifi struggled on for a few more laps.
I thought they both continued for quite a bit after that.
I'm not entirely sure.
Grosjean retired very near the end.
No, it could have been Latifi that.
Latifi retired not that long, I think, after the Grosjean debacle.
This is how interesting Haas were. Then
Latifi was woeful.
I was going to say, we'll just move on to Williams now. Was he ever actually within sort of 8 seconds of the fastest laps? Because he just seemed to be completely off it.
But we've given Stroll so much hassle over the years. He's been in Formula One, but at least Stroll had like flashes of some sort of pace about him. Latifi has done absolutely nothing in that car, and I know it's not a great car, and I know he's not going to do a lot. But even given what he's got, he's done nothing with it.
Oh, he was Ricardo Rosset slow this weekend.
Yeah,
then when you look at Lance Stroll's, when you look at Lance Stroll's reason for being good in the tricky conditions, I'm the boy from the north. I learned to drive in these difficult conditions. It's how I learned to race in slippery conditions. Is why I excel in them. Well, Nicholas Latifi is also Canadian, and that did not work for him.
No.
No.
No, it's from the part of the Gobi Desert that Canada annexed or something. It'll be great when he does Dakar. Yeah, he was just...
See, that's the thing. I thought Bottas would have been really good as well, because, the Finnish driver, rallying sort of thing. Raikkonen seemed to excel in it. He was, I say excel, he kept it in a straight line-ish. He was sliding around a bit, and, just... I think he had a spin in on Saturday when they, after the red flag. I thought when that car went sideways, I thought, dear God, he's never pulling this back. But somehow he did.
Yeah, I thought exactly the same watching Bottas. I thought, why are you not better going sideways?
Yeah, why are you a rubbish Finnish driver? This isn't a thing.
But we've had this with Bottas before, haven't we?
He doesn't excel in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was it the when he was at Williams that drive at Silverstone?
Yeah, I was going to say it was the rain in the British Grand Prix that completely...
The rain in Germany last year as well. He ended up in a wall there, I think.
Yeah.
Was the Silverstone race was the race that Williams could have won? Wasn't it?
Where we invented the term smedleying it.
Well, Smedley it, Bottas it. I don't know. I think that race had more to do with Bottas just being shit when he saw a spot of rain.
I mean, they should be used to it in Finland. It's gloomy as fuck there. I mean, then again, rain's a rarity. It snows in July, doesn't it? So.
Possibly.
Back on to Williams though. George Russell penalised, new engine.
I thought it was a smart move from Williams to break Parc Fermé rules to try and do something different pre-race, but it didn't work for them. Whatever they tried, it was just it may as well have been just a dry race because, as you say, Latifi didn't finish, and Russell was, I think, second to last of the finishes, and that's only because Magnussen spent a lap being pulled back into his pit box.
Well, Magnussen actually didn't cross the line. He retired with about a lap to go, but he was still classified. Because looking at the official results, K-Mag was a lap down on Russell.
Right.
So they actually pulled him into the pits with a lap left. So Russell was actually the last one to cross the line. It was looking a bit more positive at first, certainly for Russell, not for Latifi, when the track started to dry up a little bit and the Inter started coming in, and all of a sudden they'd got a pit stop back on everyone else. And then that second set of tyres that he had, they just didn't work, and he was one of the first drivers to make to come in the second round of pit stops. And just lost it completely, because I think he did something like 16 laps more before his first pit stop than anyone else.
He did,
and then his second stint was really short, and when everyone was coming in for their second stops, he was joining them.
Yeah, because was it Vettel he nearly had a coming together with?
Yeah, I think it was. I think he might have damaged one of the tyres or flat spots.
Oh, I don't think they actually had a particular collision. It was just they were on the same bit of the pit lane at the same time.
Oh, sorry, yeah, collision, near collision in the pit lane. Yes. Oh no, it was Verstappen.
Oh, it might have been Verstappen.
It was Verstappen because Max had made his pit stop and he
was coming out as Russell was coming in.
He was coming out as Russell was still going in. But yeah, another iffy one for Williams. There was the potential for shenanigans on the points, and now I think we're seeing Williams finish on 0.
It's looking likely now, isn't it? Given that we've only got 3 races left, chance of weather-based shenanigans at these last 3 races are extremely unlikely. Although it is 2020 still.
Anything could happen.
Sandstorms.
Yeah, possible, but I'm just trying to think of like a shenanigans based. We've had safety cars at Bahrain before, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get.
I don't remember an outrageous winner.
Yeah, sure.
No, Perez got a podium, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the early, I would say 2014, with the Hamilton-Rosberg legendary battle.
Yeah, short of the track bursting into flames. Kind of the opposite of this weekend. Right. Oh, and the other thing, of course, George binned it on the way to the grid. Took his front wing off.
Oh, well, into the pit lane.
Yeah, because he did the sighting lap and came back with half his front wing missing.
He didn't quite do. Giovinazzi did that as well, though, didn't he? He put his car in the gravel.
I was going to say,
whereas Russell was on the radio and he said, "I've just crashed at walking pace. This is ridiculous."
I was going to say, we're moving on to Alfa Romeo next. Yeah, Giovinazzi, I think it was related to his off before the grid that made him retire so early, because he cooked his engine because he was sat in the gravel trying to get moving again, and it just killed.
Is that what it was? He cooked his engine.
Yeah, it killed the car. He just sort of ground to a halt. I think the engine gave out because
it sounded rough, didn't it?
Yeah, bag of spanners.
This was, I think, the first time he didn't make places up on the first lap as well, which is strange because it's also the first time he got through to Q3.
Yeah, I mean that was his best qualifying performance because, well, I mean both Alphas in Q3 they actually managed to hook the car up pretty well during qualifying, and I was quite hopeful for the pair of them being able to hang on, because it looked like they were going to be far and away the best of the Ferrari powered teams on Sunday, and boy was that wrong.
Yeah, it was very wrong. Yeah. As we'll discuss later, the actual red Ferrari team did all right.
Oh, bless you.
Bless you.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I've been waiting for that since we started. Oh, hell.
And there it is.
But yeah, Kimi wasn't. He was sort of hanging onto the car, lost it a couple of times. There was the back end was going all over the place, and then he did have that. He did have that moment.
Yeah, he was fairly not particularly involved, really, wasn't he? Aside from a little moment, he was just there.
It was a kind of. I think there's a lot of participation awards being handed out this week.
Yeah, if Giovinazzi didn't already have his seat booked for next year, I would think that he might have gotten a bit closer with that qualifying performance, but very disappointing on the Sunday. Might not have been his fault. We can't really tell, but it's just one of those things.
Binning it on the way to the grid on a damp, greasy track on cold tyres can happen to anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just waiting for the news story to come later on in the week that Grosjean sent him a commiseratory text saying, it can happen to me. Yeah, just like he did to George Russell after Monza. Monza? No.
Imola.
Brain's gone tonight. It's been a long week at work and it's only Monday. Right, AlphaTauri.
I was a bit annoyed when I was watching. I watched the race recorded afterwards, so I already knew what the finishing order was. I was really annoyed watching AlphaTauri because they could have been the team that actually put someone on dries. It would not have worked. But they were in the position where they had nothing to lose. They might as well have tried it. I was very disappointed.
Yeah. We were saying, haven't we, how great a season Pierre Gasly's been having, and yet he finished behind Danny Kvyat.
Yeah, but he started behind Danny Kvyat because he got relegated to the back of the grid because of
shenanigans.
Weird engine shenanigans. On Saturday night, they decided they were going to change his engine.
Yeah, if you break the seal, change everything anyway, because you're going to be at the back. You might as well just put new everything in there, surely.
Yeah, instead of, we'll just put the lid back on it, everything's fine, we don't need to do anything. But then still getting made to start at the back because they'd broken Parc Fermé.
Yeah.
It's a strange one.
Unless they've gone diving in and suddenly realised actually they don't have the parts with them. Which is also stupid.
Happened before when Renaults were powering the car. Remember the stand-up?
Didn't Ferrari do that once? Didn't Ferrari?
It sounds like a very Ferrari thing to do.
I think when Alonso and Raikkonen were teammates at Ferrari, they did something on Raikkonen's engine and then realised they didn't have the spare part for it, but it was too late.
It sounds like a very Ferrari thing.
I think he missed like an FP3 because on a Friday into a Saturday night they decided to change something, and then I had to wait for DHL to get an old part from Maranello to wherever it was they were.
Oh God. Yeah, Ferrarying things up for years. But yeah,
but not for Alonso, strangely enough.
Oh, that was weird. Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't part of what was going on. He never saw it. It just happened without his knowledge.
Exactly, it happened around him.
Teflonzo.
So yeah.
I was going to say that one again on Twitter.
Foil Nando Teflonzo.
So yeah, AlphaTauri managed to bugger up their own weekend. Kvyat went. I think he went out in Q1 on Saturday, didn't he? He just didn't make an impression at all. And I think he was struggling with the conditions.
It was totally anonymous for me. I think for both AlphaTauri drivers in the rain, especially in the race. Especially.
Yeah, it was just all a bit. I don't know. I mean, there was plenty else going on the track without seeing them just taking a corner at slow speed.
I just don't remember seeing them.
No, me neither. Really,
any
I
point.
don't know that they did a lot. I agree with what Sean said. I think they were they pitted, didn't they, with when it was possible that they could have put dry tires on, and they didn't.
Kind of about sums up all the potential that they had at the weekend, and it didn't happen.
No, but playing it safe was the right thing to do. To be fair, we can't beat them too hard for not taking a gamble which could easily have messed everyone's race up by bringing out a full safety car, and we may not have got the final result that we got.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, because the Ferraris would have been crap away from the start behind the safety car. Anyway, moving on to Renault. Looked great in qualifying, and then Ricciardo got a good start. Ocon ended up backwards.
Well, Ocon got Ricardo'd.
Ocon got spun around.
Yeah, by Ricardo.
Who had just been bumped by Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, Ocon was the passenger in that, and that caused Bottas's first spin while hitting the brakes to try and not hit Ocon, who was sideways in front of him.
And Ocon on his Instagram account today said, was it last night possibly, said I got hit twice in the first lap and went backwards both times. So we missed the second spin on the first lap, but Ocon was way down. So
yeah, I mean, he was
in terms of a recovery drive to sort of finish line of stern with your teammate, it's kind of okay, I guess. It was, put it this way, he passed Bottas.
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing he could do about the first spin, and then obviously we didn't see the second one. Pitted by the end of lap 1, he was in 20th. But catching Latifi.
Yeah.
Actually, he was catching Latifi. He was catching Latifi while he was stationary in the pits.
I think, did Latifi not come in at the end of first lap as well? I think he'd had a voyage.
I think he did. He must have had car damage to be that slow for the rest of the race. But yeah, I
don't know. There were a few cars, wasn't there, that went around on the first lap.
I was a bit sort of, I don't know, upset or disappointed for Renault, because I was hoping to see more of them, because I think there was the potential. I mean, Danny Rick's a good driver in the wet. I've certainly seen a few good performances.
Yeah.
But it was just...
He got Lando'd, though, didn't he, Danny Ricciardo?
Lando
Norris was putting in some of the fast. I think he got the fastest lap of the race towards the end.
He did in the end.
His last stint was incredible, and he got past Ricciardo, and Ricciardo actually had a bit of a spin, didn't he, whilst Lando was passing him?
Yeah, because I think Ricciardo was trying to defend too hard and just went too heavy on the brakes into the last couple of corners, and before you know it, backwards.
An okay-ish race for Renault. Given what they've done recently, you'd expect a bit better of them. But 1 point, 10th and 11th, nah.
Yeah, I mean they outscored 4 teams.
But they've usually been the 4th team, haven't they?
Unfortunately, the 3 teams that they're battling with all scored more points than them.
Yeah.
One of them, of course, being McLaren. Definite binary weekend.
Strange Saturday.
Not binary result. Bad Saturday.
Yeah, I tweeted.
Got worse Sunday morning with lower grid positions for both of them, and then 2 points finishes.
That Lando's grid position grid drop was so weird.
Yeah, I mean the wording on the penalty.
It is. I understand. Yeah, I understand the penalty a bit better now, because I tweeted about it and somebody explained it to me. The fact that was his fastest lap, the rule says you can't do your fastest lap if it's under double waved yellows. And Lando did ask if he should have bought the lap, which is why Magnussen was so annoyed that he got booted out in Q1 as well, because he aborted his lap, no one else did. So I can understand it, but at the same time, if you slow down and it's purely because of the conditions that changing so fast, the conditions change so fast that you just happen to go a little bit faster next time round, then even if you do slow down, to me that's just a bit. We need a bit of common sense here. It should have just come into play and just been like, okay, he did slow for the incident, but he was faster through the rest of the lap purely because he had better tires, for example. Let's just say that.
I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
rule,
There-
the
there's
rule
not-
needs looking at rather than what he did. It's that it should just be for that sector, really, shouldn't it?
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
Yeah.
the wording of the penalty said they appreciate he slowed enough until he'd passed the incident.
It feels like the rules haven't taken into consideration that type of incident.
Yeah, I mean, you can't legislate for every situation, but if the rest of the track's clear, you should be able to run at your chosen pace on it between the incident and the start of the mini sector before it. Just have
Yeah.
they do in Le Mans with the slowdown zones, rather than sort of giving out a full course yellow or a safety car.
Yeah.
Just one area where you have to slow down and you have to be seen to be slowing down.
Well, I don't know that Formula One has full course yellows. Does it like IndyCar does? It has like double waved yellows for certain sectors, and then it's then when the green light comes round, it's the that's when you can start going fast again. It's just if you go faster from the first to from the first green light to the end of the lap, then that somehow means that you've broken the rules.
Yeah.
I mean, closest we've got to a full course yellow in F1 is probably the virtual safety car. Because that's no overtaking and reduced speed.
It's more like a safety car as well, isn't it? Because they do have a pace car that comes out during a full course yellow.
What, in Indy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, first sign of a crash on Indy, even on road courses, that's a safety car comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But full course yellows like they have in endurance racing or Formula E, where everyone has to slow down, maintain position, but gaps can stay the same. And you drive into a set delta. But if they're having one sector under double waved yellows, yes, definitely you have to slow down for that. But the rest of the track is fine. But if the double waved yellows come out when you're in a lap and they come out behind you, you can still set your fastest lap. So it's different rules for
you can do
different rules for different drivers depending where you are on track when an incident happens.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you've got to, that's always been the case. I mean, if you've got to drive through the double yellows, then you have to slow down. I do understand the rule. I just don't think it's not perfect. It just keeps.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that drivers should slow during double waved yellows because that means there is a likelihood of people on track. Although Lance Stroll was accused of ignoring those when he was unlapping himself at Imola.
Yes, I remember that.
As it turned out, he did slow down. It was just a very fast. It was just a very fast section of track, but he slowed down by enough of a percentage to make it noticeable. And
the thing is, double wave. Sorry, I was going to say double wave yellows is slow down, prepare to stop. That wasn't preparing to stop. What Lance Stroll was doing in Imola.
No, true, but apparently it was enough. And then, as soon as you see the green, resume your speed. But if you're on a qualifying lap, you see the green, then slow down and you possibly become a hazard as well to anyone that's behind you. So it's it's an absolutely bizarre rule. The way that it's worded and the way that it's enforced, and that is one of the things that needs looking at. But got a few other things to say about stewarding and race direction at the end of this, especially in the wankers part of it. But Carlos Sainz, great drive.
Yeah, fantastic. Typical Carlos Sainz drive, where he just kept his head down, kept the car pointing the right way, and just got on with it, and then found himself in the top 5, and catching the Ferrari pair right near the end of the race. And I was almost convinced that Sainz was going to get a podium at one point, but
it was
not to be.
It was only about 3 seconds off fourth, wasn't he?
He was in the end, but
by the end of the
they
race.
obviously all tripped over each other a bit towards the end, which obviously cost them time.
Yeah.
But no, that was a fantastic performance. Kind of an unsung hero, really, for in the Driver of the Day stakes.
A little bit, yeah. It was just a solid drive from him, considering that both McLarens were knocked out in Q2 and they got that grid drop as well, as you say. I thought both of them were exceptional in those conditions, and Lando especially for that last stint, coming through from like 12th or something. And I noticed the gap at one point. He had to I can't remember who it was he was chasing now. Who did he finish behind? Oh, it was to Stroll, because he passed Stroll eventually. The gap to Stroll was something like 14 seconds, and then within like 7 or 8 laps he was bang. He was right there. He was on Stroll and he passed him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he set something like 3 fastest laps in the last 6.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So I know it just kept flashing on screen, new fastest lap for him, and you know that's his second one of the season. To say he's in a customer engine team with a car that isn't the fastest on the grid, it's been a bloody good performance.
I think so, and it would be nice to see what McLaren could have done had they not had the grid drops. I think it would be good to. I think they probably would have been scrapping with the Ferraris and the Racing Points early doors, and who knows where they might have finished.
Yeah, I think there could have been podium potential in there with the performance of those cars. Unfortunately, of course, getting caught up in everything at the start happening in front of them, you're gonna lose time.
Yes.
Right, we have Red Bull next. Now, Max has said that there was a problem with the front wing, and there was 7 degrees difference in angle between the left and the right sides, which is more than the normal difference, and it really threw the balance of the car off. Now he's not using that as an excuse for spins, because I mean certainly the one that he had behind Perez, that was self-inflicted.
Yeah. I mean that was impatient old school Max. Where first 2 seasons in Formula One, Max Verstappen. It wasn't the patience that we've seen. I mean, he's always been aggressive, but that was overly aggressive. And even had he managed to get past Perez, one of those cars was going to leave the circuit. At that point, and unfortunately for him, he got it wrong, and it was him.
Is front wing angle something that is subject to Parc Fermé?
No, that is just about the only part you can change
them in the pit stops.
Yeah, you can't change the rear wing angle at all.
Okay.
But front wing is freely adjustable any time from leaving. Well, obviously not during curfew, but any time after leaving the garage for Q1.
So that's what I'm so they could change it between qualifying and race.
Yes,
fair enough.
Yeah, so it wasn't something that was done on Saturday and he had to live with it all the way through. It was something that was done at some point, and he had to live with it. Because the front wings aren't as easy to change as they used to be, because it used to be stick an Allen key in the side and give it a twist.
Well, it's in the top now, isn't it? I think they stick the Allen keys. There's got a long, like a T-bar Allen key.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think they stick it in the top of the wing, and that's why pit stops for Red Bull anyway can be sometimes 2.4 instead of 2.1 seconds.
But yeah, it was a difficult one for both of them. Albon was there, then he wasn't there, then he was back there, then he was backwards, and then he was pushing again, and then he was off the pace again, and then Max was overtaking him, and then he never recovered, and yeah, it was. I mean, he did well to get the car home in one piece.
On a different day, though, they probably would and should have been challenging for a win.
Yeah,
had either of them managed to string together more than about 10 laps.
Yeah, but Albon spun, didn't he, at one point?
Yeah.
And the positive for Alex Albon is he was officially the first Thai driver to lead a lap in Formula One history. But that was all down to when everyone was taking their pit stops, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a CV leader particularly.
Yeah, he led because Red Bull didn't want to double stack.
Yeah, and for Max to spin behind Albon, and then you thought, oh well, he's clearly not going to challenge Alex Albon now, and then the next lap,
Yeah.
be right back under his rear wing again. And to me, it's just like, you're in the same car, guys. Come on.
I mean, the finish line is Stern 6th and 7th, so they.
Well, yeah, but with Max ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really feel that Red Bull, Max in particular, because of that Perez spin, I think had he been more patient, I believe Max Verstappen probably would have won that race.
I think he was in with a chance. I mean, after the start he got, I think that kind of set him off, because did you see from the onboard, the back end just stepped out off the line, and then he got completely bogged down, and I think he dropped to about 9th at one point.
Didn't
Max.
the same
Yeah.
happen to him in, was it Germany last year? Where he got a bad start, dropped a load of places, but actually did keep his head and ended up winning said race.
Yeah,
That was Germany.
Yeah, that is familiar.
So he can do it.
I think we found his weakness. Wet starts.
Wet brain.
Again, I think this is more down to the surface than, like, all of a sudden Max can't start in the wet, though.
No, it was on the onboards. Did you see how the difference between Daniel Ricciardo's start and Max Verstappen's start?
Yeah,
Verstappen started in first gear and was wheel spinning all the way up through into fourth, I think, when he decided it's time to slow down for turn one. Whereas Ricciardo started in second gear and was short shifting all the way up through to, like, I think he took the first turn in fifth. So, you know.
I think it's just a matter of start. I mean, don't forget, Max is usually pretty good off the start on a dry track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know, his tactic didn't work. The side of the track that he was on was slipperier as well, because the even-numbered side, they said just before the race, did seem to be, because it was off the racing line, so it seemed to be a little bit greasier than the pole side. So he just not, you know, what little grip was left over from before it rained. Whoever was starting on the right seemed to have the better of it. What little there was, and it was enough to make Max's car a lot slidier.
Yeah, but then you know, there were some drivers who started on that line who got good starts. So, you know, it's just different, isn't it? Each car and each driver was different, and it was a totally equalising situation with the greasy track and the wet weather, just, you know, exacerbating everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, it showed. You know, it showed the differences greatly. Right, Racing Point next. Lance Stroll's first pole.
Yeah.
They said during the race...
Great qualifying performance.
Yeah, they said during the race it was the first time that Stroll had led. I don't think that's true, because I think he led a race last year. I can't remember where.
He led into a corner in
Germany.
Germany, but he didn't lead
across
lap.
the line.
That is, yes, of course.
Because at one point, I think in Germany last year, the top three was Stroll, Kvyat, and Hülkenberg.
Yes, immediately before Hülkenberg just drove randomly off the track.
Yes.
But yeah, fantastic showing on Saturday. They had that car hooked up. It was, you know, obviously it was quick. There was one in first and one in third.
Yeah, but their brilliant performance on Saturday kind of undermined their race performance on Sunday. They were able to switch the tyres on, but then they weren't able to look after them on the Sunday.
Stroll apparently had floor damage, which is one of the reasons his tyres in particular did not hold up.
Yeah, because he was complaining about tyre graining on the final set of tyres within about 2 laps of the stop, because he was on the radio saying they're going already, and you could see the gap disappearing.
Well, he just went backwards, didn't he?
And you know, when he came out the pits and he was leading, or came into the pits and he was leading, and then lost 8 places by the end. And I think he was losing about 2 to 3 seconds a lap.
That would sound about right.
Something like that.
So
Yeah, he literally just went backwards. I mean, when the pit stops were done and it kind of looked like, some drivers were going long, he was like, well, Stroll might still, 4th or 5th here. And then it was just like, nope. Okay, is he actually going to score points? And yeah, the Saturday wouldn't be a day to remember. His Sunday was probably a day to forget for Lance Stroll. Yes, he led a race for the first time, but oh dear, 9th place when your teammate manages, second is.
yeah, I mean, you're saying that
it's not the race he wanted.
saying that Racing Point didn't hang on to the tyres. Perez only one stopped, and
Yeah, well, Perez is good
that's
with
Perez.
tyres, though, isn't he?
yeah, and he was down to slicks by the end of the race. Yeah, there was practically no tread left on the right side.
I think he did say he had like a ridiculous vibration for the last lap or so and was like, oh god, they're going to blow up. But obviously they didn't.
AWS said more than 10%, so he was all right.
Yes, because AWS is always 100% bang on the money with their stats.
But that was definitely the best Perez performance we've seen in a couple of years.
Yeah, it was a strong performance from Sergio Perez. When you've got 2 drivers under the microscope for for possibly the Red Bull seat, we don't know that Perez is genuinely under contention. Rumours say that he is.
There's pictures of him on the Red Bull media site.
Yeah,
Yes.
with Max talking to him through a towel, which is quite telling, I think.
It's such an odd photo that they're just randomly walking in the paddock. There's nothing in the background. It is a real. Why do you want this photo, Red Bull? Why do you need a photo of Verstappen and Perez?
Yeah. Unless they were talking about the incident where, Verstappen spun behind Perez trying to overtake him. That's the only thing I can think of, but...
And maybe he was talking
Yeah.
through a towel because he didn't have a mask with him and wanted to talk to him and couldn't socially distance because he wanted to say something private. I'm just spitballing here, which again is something that you shouldn't do in these days of COVID.
No.
Of course, yeah, no spitballing. No, it's, shit gets you put in prison for 6 months, Paul.
But yeah, it was a good showing from the soon to be unemployed Perez. Apparently.
Well,
I
he
mean,
will be unemployed. It's just where he goes. It's just where he goes to after that, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
If he was putting his claim out for that Red Bull drive, he couldn't have done a better job than he did this weekend.
Yeah.
No, something tells me that Marco is going to be looking at him seriously.
I
With
think
his one
he's
good eye.
decided, to be honest.
Well, Albon hasn't done himself any favours recently, has he?
No.
I think we're all of the opinion that Albon's done.
I feel bad for Albon because I don't think he's done. Let's not forget he did well last year.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just had such a bad year, and unfortunately for him, he's had a bad year when there's a lot of incoming drivers. And I think more than anything, teams need to get a lineup sorted for next year that they're probably going to want to carry into 2022.
This is the problem, isn't it? They're going to fire him too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't have a bad year in the Red Bull organisation.
No.
Because your bad year is your last year.
If I was Haas, I'd look at Albon.
Yeah, I think the Haas are going to be looking at a Ferrari check, though, aren't they?
But
Well,
for one of their
nowhere
cars.
else.
And then a
Yeah,
Russian
yeah.
check.
Yeah, Ferrari check and a Uralchem check.
But that puts them with 2 rookies, though, doesn't it? And we kept saying that they probably shouldn't take 2 rookies.
Yeah, if Albon can get on the fundraising wagon and find his own check, then that might be an idea.
No, I'm not going to say that.
Oh, what are you going to say?
Well, I think that's why he raced under the Thai flag, isn't it?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he obviously came through the same kind of batch of British drivers as like your Russell and your Norris, and
Yeah.
he went to Thailand because there's untapped sponsorship there. There's
Yeah.
a few Thai brands still on the AlphaTauri because they signed on with AlphaTauri.
Yeah, depending on the race,
Because
it's
of
either
him.
moose cider or moose hot dogs.
Moose hot dogs, I'd forgotten about them.
Yeah, because it's cider when they're allowed to advertise booze and hot dogs when they're not.
Yeah, I don't think that's
Yeah.
the only one on that car either. I think there is another
No, I think
came
you're
for
right.
Albon.
Yeah, I think there
There
are.
was that thing as well, wasn't there, where Gasly had to go. Gasly had to go to the Thai press conference or something for Moose.
Yes. There was like
Everyone was
this,
like,
the Prime
"Well, we did
Minister
this
was
because
there.
We thought we were yeah. Like we thought we were getting the Thai driver, Alex Albon. Like no, he's gone to the other team now. So the team that's sponsored by Moose has a French driver, so you can have him.
Race winner though.
Wasn't at the time. Yeah, I still can't say. I'll say it off air about how Albon could raise sponsorship money very easily. Ask his mum.
Oh yes, yes.
Might bleep that. Yeah, I mean he would be a good fit for Haas because he's got 2 years experience, but the lure of what will Ferrari give to Haas by putting Schumacher in and the marzipan money will come in useful as well. Yeah, I still see Mazepin buying the team.
Maybe.
We know they've tried to buy a team before, and that Gene Haas is not 100% committed.
Yeah. Now we'll.
I just don't know what they're buying. That's the problem with buying Haas.
They're buying a self-assembly factory in somewhere in Oxfordshire, and they're buying the rights to buy things from Dallara.
Yeah, but I don't. Well, I mean, that's just being a customer, isn't it? I don't see.
It's an entry, isn't it? That's what they would want.
The entry I get, but I think for a person who isn't like part of a grounded motor racing sort of entity, it seems like a bit of a big ask. That
He can pay people.
Sorry,
he can pay people. He has many money.
Unless
he can pay people, but
unless
still...
unless there's some kind of team up with SMP Racing, the other big Russian racing organisation that do have the infrastructure for this kind of thing.
That would make more sense if something like that happened.
He is heavily SMP branded, isn't he?
Yeah. So we could see Uralchem SMP Racing on the grid in a couple of years.
That rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, SMP Uralchem Ferrari.
Yeah, I have a feeling that they won't be Ferrari powered if that happens.
It just sounds like a bad law firm. Talking of Ferrari,
surprisingly late.
Yeah, for this season.
Yeah, this is the latest I think we've spoken about Ferrari since the end of last year.
Or possibly no, Austria.
Yeah, Leclerc was third, but I think he was second, wasn't he? Actually, Leclerc in Austria.
It's been that long ago.
Wasn't it Bottas, Leclerc, Norris?
Yes.
So maybe this is the first time since Austria then.
So yes, the car is surprisingly good in the wet.
Yes.
Is it good in the wet, or is it that those drivers are actually pretty good in the wet, and it was a bit of an equaliser, and the car didn't matter so much?
I think that could be it.
Those two drivers are actually very good drivers, and they're just in an average car, which was made to look a lot better because it was raining.
Yeah, I mean we know Vettel's pretty handy in the wet. Leclerc, I don't think I have a great deal of data on in the wet, but
yeah, Vettel was my one to watch out for just before the race started. I thought, you know what, Vettel is usually pretty handy in difficult conditions, and he's had a bad season. This is his time. This is his turn to have a good race. And for once, I was right.
I mean, you surprised the hell out of everybody on the Discord chat on Sunday. 1, by turning up, and 2, by saying that. And then
1 by turning up, and then two by my internet going, I can't handle 2 streams at once.
Oh.
And then I had to get off Discord again.
Yeah, we're not going to look at that house up by Chris's if the internet's that bad round there.
No.
Yeah, don't do that.
But no, Vettel was. It was we were seeing the old Seb. Tellingly, or maybe not, I don't know. But that was the first race of the season that Binotto wasn't at.
Yeah, I think Binotto might get binned off. Binottoed. Ha!
Well, didn't Seb actually say in the press conference afterwards, like he joked, maybe we should leave Binotto at home more?
God.
I don't think Vettel cares what he says.
That's the thing.
anymore
He
at
can
press
get away
conferences,
with
does
that shit.
No.
he? Do you remember when Massa was just when they were asking Massa questions? He was just like, I don't give a shit. I race for Massa now. I don't race for Ferrari anymore. I race for me. Essentially, you've got that, but less pissed off with Sebastian Vettel because he knows he's got a seat for next year. So,
But yeah, it was good to see that Seb back. We like happy Seb.
I did do a little bit of a punch of the air when I realised that Vettel was going to be on the podium for such, let's be honest, such a momentous occasion with the race winner. I thought, you know what, it's right that Seb is on the podium with Lewis for this. And I knew before they even stopped the cars that Seb would be the first one to go over to congratulate Lewis Hamilton, and he was.
Yeah, I mean, he does have a hell of a lot of respect for Lewis.
He just appears to be a pretty good guy. He had his dominant period in the sport for 4 years. Was it 4 years? Yeah. But so he realizes how much he must cherish that a lot now that it's not happening, and think, wow, that happened in my younger years, whereas Lewis has got it happening sort of in the later part of his career when he's got all that experience, but. Yeah, I mean, he must. It is respect, but I think it's also like an admiration thing as well, because Vettel's been there in a dominant car, and he knows what it's like to get the good and the bad. So yeah, it's nice to see that they can both share those moments.
Yeah, definitely. That leaves us with Mercedes. I mean, we've already talked about backwards Bottas.
This is the most binary of the results, is it not?
Really and truthfully, yes. I mean,
is it because the pressure was on, do you think, with Bottas, or the fact that he just had such a terrible first lap that his head went after that?
I think a bit of both, potentially.
I mean, quote of the race when his engineer came on the radio and said 4 laps to go, and he said, "I wish it was less."
Yeah, that's somebody who's given up, isn't it?
Yeah, he just wanted to drive that car into the garage and just forget that race had ever happened.
Although post-race in the pen was quite funny as to who got to go first between Ricciardo and Bottas.
Oh, the rock paper scissors.
Yeah, they played rock paper scissors to see who would go first, and then Bottas said best part of the day.
Yeah, what was the quote from the first thing you won all day, isn't it?
Oops.
Yeah, that was just. I mean, totally binary in the fact that it was one to completely forget for Bottas, and I think it's a race that Hamilton will never forget.
I agree with Lee. I think it's one of Lewis Hamilton's best performances in a Formula One car, and to do it on a race where you sealed his 7th world title. Just it speaks volumes, really, doesn't it? I mean, throughout his career, yes, he's had the best car a lot of the time, and people who don't know a lot about the sport will say, "Well, guy in the fastest car wins." Yep, that's true. That most of the time, that's true. But it's what you can do when you don't have the fastest car. And this weekend, that
Absolutely
Mercedes was not the fastest car by a long stretch, and he still managed to pull out something special out of the bag and won that race, not just by a few seconds, by 30 seconds.
Yeah. I thought it was a stunning win.
I thought it was.
I would. Barring maybe Max because of his spin and then because of his penalty and the fact we really know he should have been further up. I do think the better drivers finished higher up this weekend.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
and saying that really it changed how my regard for Sergio Perez. To be perfectly honest, I always looked at Sergio Perez as maybe being at best a good Ferrari number 2 if they had like a really strong one. But his performance was so good that you've got to. It did make me think. Well, what is he maybe? If you look at the say Lewis, Max, arguably Vettel, if Vettel can get fixed, like the Vettel this Sunday, for instance, as being maybe the top of Formula One, is Perez closer to 4th than I thought he would be.
Well, he's 4th in the championship, despite the fact he missed 2 races because of COVID. So he's overtaken Norris, Ricciardo, Sainz. He's way down the road from Stroll, even, who is his teammate. But the winner of Formula 1.5, if you will, if you ignore Mercedes and then Red Bull, is currently Sergio Perez.
I think you've got to include Albon in Formula 1.5 these days.
But even still, Perez is ahead of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you remove Max and the 2 Mercedes drivers, that's where Perez is the 4th driver to go into triple figures. He's got 100 points. What's quite telling is that but the gap from Perez in 4th to Bottas in 2nd is only 97 points. Bottas is on 197 points. The gap from Bottas in 2nd to Hamilton in 1st is 110.
Wow.
And the difference in
Perez is closer to Bottas than Hamilton is.
And the difference in cars between Mercedes and Racing Point is a whole 12 months.
I thought it was a particularly
exactly.
I thought it was a particularly bold decision by Hamilton to not come in for the second tyres.
No, the safety stop.
Because this is it, with the title on the line, even if he had skidded a little bit on the way in and they'd done a slow stop and he'd lost a place, knowing how far back Bottas was, it didn't matter. But it was just that need to be out in front.
Well, he joked about
need to win.
Yeah.
Well, he joked about it as well because it was a pit stop that he made in the last few laps in China in 2007 that lost him the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he beached it on the beach that isn't there anymore in the pit lane. Because they've since removed the gravel. But I mean, how he hung on with those tyres, I've got no idea. They were, that was those canvas showing through. I'm convinced. The last time he finished with tyres that bad was Silverstone.
Oh yes.
Nah, they were. What he did was he walked down to slicks and then just drove on the dry line somehow. And when Bottas did his second stop for Inters, Hamilton was still faster than Bottas by 6 seconds a lap.
I don't. When you saw all the people like spinning and having moments and stuff like that, you didn't really see anything like that from Lewis for that race.
No, even comparing, there was a couple of corner exits where you saw Bottas wiggling on the back end when he came out of certain corners. And then you'd see Hamilton come around the same corner. He looked like he was on rails.
Yeah,
I think that was it though. It was just the precision of it. If he'd have gone offline with those tyres and hit water, he's fucked. It's the it's the sort of thing we were used to seeing actually in mixed conditions from Jenson Button, when he could change tyres to either go for like an inter or a slick. and he was precise enough to keep it on the dry line of the circuit.
Canada 2011.
Yeah. Australia, when he won in Australia for McLaren as well, when he had his early pit stop.
Yeah.
I think it really did that. I think it hammered it home that we sing the praises of Max, and I do think Max is a brilliant driver. But his time as being king of Formula One is going to be very dependent on when Lewis decides to retire.
Lewis did say after the race that he feels like he's just getting started, so I don't think it's soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Autosport that was saying today it looks like the contract situation for him and Toto will be signed at the end of the season, not discussed, actually signed.
I think the problem with Hamilton, from a contract point of view, is because he doesn't use a manager, so he does all the reading himself, and the races have just been so constant. He probably hasn't had a time to just sit down for a couple of days and do reading a long legal document.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brave move not having a manager to handle negotiations like that and to do it yourself, especially with all the other commitments that he's got.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even talking about the off-track commitments. I'm talking about the on-track commitments.
Yeah, it also tells you he's not going anywhere, because if he was looking at something else with a party he wasn't like familiar with and used to and comfortable doing his own negotiations with, he'd probably want a manager.
Yeah, I think the other thing is it's good and bad for Hamilton, the position he's in. It's good and bad for him because, on one hand, he is I'm going to say arguably the class of the field, just because I know people. It's hard to talk about Lewis Hamilton because we all get it. That if you criticize Lewis Hamilton, then you're just hating Lewis Hamilton. If you praise him, then you're a Lewis Hamilton fanboy. There's no middle ground. So I'll say he's arguably the class of the field. But given that Mercedes is the class of the field, like Lewis can walk in a similar situation to how Williams used to be with drivers, and he's actually got no bargaining chips, because realistically Mercedes can always turn around to Lewis and say, well, look, if you don't want it, we'll just make Bottas champion next year.
Would they, or would they make George Russell champion next year?
Oh, I mean, yeah, they could make George Russell champion, but do you know what I mean? They can create the champion next year.
Oh yeah, I mean it's completely in their power to decide who gets it. You know, Lewis is obviously the favoured choice, and you know it's there if he wants it. You know, I think we'll see no changes in Mercedes next year. We'll see Lewis driving for them in a team that is being run by Toto, but I think we'll see Toto at a few less races. And I think they might be bringing the next Toto up.
Well,
I think what's more likely to happen.
Yeah, go on, Chris.
I was going to say, I think what might happen is that Bottas actually retires. It's more likely than Hamilton retiring at the moment.
Could be.
Yeah, possibly. Could just get sick of being destroyed, or not even retires. Maybe he moves somewhere else. Maybe I don't know. Who would you look at? Ocon. When Ocon decides to leave, if Renault can't get Gasly or somewhere like that, maybe Bottas decides to go somewhere else.
I think it would be more likely Bottas would do a Raikkonen and go and do a different motorsport for a couple of years.
Oh, I was going to say Bottas might do a Raikkonen and become Kimi's replacement.
No, Kimi is staying.
I mean, well, for 2022. He's not going to retire at the end of this season.
One of those guys yeah, I think Bottas is one of those guys, much like not in terms of longevity, but Riccardo Patrese was a fantastic number 2 driver. Won races when Mansell couldn't win at Williams. Had been with the team for a while, was well liked and respected amongst most of the grid. But when he was forced out of that seat at Williams, went to Benetton for one season, and then when he heard he wasn't going to be at Benetton anymore, went, well, I'm not moving backwards down the grid. What's the point in that? I may as well just retire.
Yeah, I think basically
I think Bottas is the same. I think I agree with Sean. I think he'd go and do something different.
Ice
Bottas
rallying,
is
go drive a hypercar.
Yeah. But Bottas is absolutely more Coulthard than Hakkinen, isn't he? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone expects that he should be doing better, but just somehow doesn't seem to quite get there.
Yeah.
Although I think Coulthard was a better driver than Bottas.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, seven world championships. 4 consecutive ones. What more can you say that hasn't already been said?
I know. It's yeah, we are literally witnessing like the history of the sport unfolding before us. The next milestone for Lewis Hamilton, now he's got that 7th championship out of the way, is the 100th win. You know, I'm pretty sure he's going to come back next year. He should be pretty close to the 100. If we get the full calendar, as we're expecting to in 2021, that the 100th win will come pretty quickly.
And
If we get a half calendar, I think the 100th win will come pretty quickly.
Don't forget, there's still 3 races to go this season, and
This is true.
he only needs 6 more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that. It's 94 wins.
Yeah, so he could easily be on 97 by the end of the season, and then he could take his 100th win at the inaugural Grand Prix of TBC at the TBC circuit.
The TBC ring.
Yeah. Tilka, buy crap.
It could be. Maybe that's what Bottas is going to do, the Bottas circuit.
Maybe it's a lap of the perimeter of Nick Heidfeld's world of disappointment.
TBC is scheduled to be 4th, so yeah, it could happen.
Hamilton doesn't often win the first race of the season, though, does he?
True.
That's usually the Bottas one. And everyone thinks, it's his year.
There he is.
And then Hamilton goes and wins the next 3.
Let's be honest, nobody really has ever thought it's Bottas's year.
I know one person that has thought that every time Bottas has won the season opener.
Who?
Bottas.
Maybe.
To whom it may concern.
Yeah, that all seems a bit stupid now, doesn't it?
To whom it may concern, sit down.
As it turned out, nobody was concerned.
No, nobody was concerned. And least of all, Hamilton.
Oh, he's won. That's nice. Oh, I've just won the next 5. But yeah, Chris,
I would like Lewis Hamilton to have a teammate that's not Valtteri Bottas before he leaves Formula One. Whether that's George Russell or whether George Russell ends up being Lewis Hamilton's replacement remains to be seen. But I would like to see another teammate in that car. I don't know who it would be, but nobody's pushed Lewis properly since Rosberg was in that car. Bottas has not pushed Lewis Hamilton at all. Maybe on the occasional race, like not consistently.
Jesus Christ, that's why Rosberg changed his flag. Because Lewis munches fins. It was all about Lewis.
See you later, Kovalainen.
Yeah, what was it? 13 years since the last non-British or German driver won the World Drivers' Championship, and when they came out with that stat on Saturday, I was like, not strictly true. Yeah. Hail Rosbergia.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris, like you said, we're watching history, and I want to see more of it next season. I know everyone says it's boring. Hamilton wins. Oh yeah, Lewis has won again. Great. If
he goes out into the front,
it is boring.
If there's more performances like that, sign me up.
Yeah, but
then again, we just signed an 18-month deal with Sky. We've got no choice but to watch it.
This is true.
But it was such a weird. It was such a weird situation, that race. We haven't seen Formula One as competitive as that for a long time.
I just wonder if that's giving Stefano Domenicali some thoughts, and he's on the phone now to Bernie Sprinkler Co.
Oddly enough, watching the race, I turned around to my dad and said, like, this is a good example of why the 2021 rules need to slash this downforce off the cars, because look how exciting this race is. And then literally 30 seconds after I said that, Martin Brundle echoed those, like, the sentiments.
He's definitely got a tap, hasn't he? The amount of times that happens.
I think Domenicali would be looking at sprinklers. I think he'd be looking at employing Bernie Tarmac, which is nothing to do with Bernie Mac, by the way. Bernie Tarmac Company, Eccleston Tarmac, which strangely has just got a contract to resurface all the racetracks around the world about a week before there's a race there.
I mean, if that's what it does to it, it's good to see, and they do work in collaboration with Eccleston Cloud Seeding Limited. Right then, rock stars and wankers. I'm throwing a wanker up first. Michael Massey.
Is this for the
starting
letting qualifying going?
Yeah, starting Q2 while there was still a flatbed truck in a gravel trap moving Latifi's car, and there was still stewards on the track, and the surface was wet. What the fuck was he thinking?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think, and I don't know for definite, but I think it was race control put out something that was because everybody was on their outlap, so there was going to be nobody going through at racing speed. But I think race control put something out to all the teams to let them know that this is double wage yellows and this is why.
But the problem is what if they'd had an issue getting the truck moved off by the time that somebody had started their outlap? And I'm not saying that it's not just from a safety perspective. You're screwing up people's qualifying.
Yeah.
You know, you've only got a limited amount of time and tyres, and all of a sudden you lost, 4 minutes of that time because
it was on the edge.
Yeah.
It was right on the edge, and you shouldn't be messing around on the edge with safety and stuff like that. Really, nobody would have complained if you just let that truck get out of the way and then started Q2.
Yeah, delay. All they had to do was delay qualifying delay Q2 by 2 minutes. Everything was running late as it was because of the two stoppages. Another one I've got, foot in both camps. 57.5 laps of Rockstar and half a lap of wanker for Charles Leclerc.
Yeah. Although on relating to...
I don't know,
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I go back to the Senna thing with that. You're not a racing driver if you don't go for a gap. 2 corners to go. If he makes it work, he's glorious. Charles Leclerc second. Wow, look at that. And had he forced Perez onto the dirty side of the track or onto the wetter, greasier side of the track, and Vettel got third, Leclerc looks like a fucking champion getting 2 Ferraris on the podium, whereas it didn't work out. Yeah, okay, maybe it wasn't the greatest of moves, but I don't know that it's necessarily a wanker.
I don't know, because from the angle I saw, he was ahead of Perez, and he just got on the brakes way too late.
That there points out the other wanker from the angle you saw, because the race director wanker was too busy paying attention to Mercedes all jumping around that we didn't actually see the start of that whole debacle.
Yes.
So, race director wanker.
Although we would have complained if we didn't see any celebrations after a 7-time world champion.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, they can't win, but have they ever heard of picture in picture?
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sake, RTL used to have Shumi Cam.
Yeah, they did. Eurosport had it for a little while, I think, as well.
Maybe that's it then. Ham Cam.
Back in the days when they were owned by RTL. That's probably why they had it.
Ham cam sounds like something on a website you probably don't want to be visiting.
Yeah, don't Google it. Don't Google it.
So, basically Lee's browsing history.
It is now.
Rockstar, Vettel.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Sebastian Vettel. Shame that he had to become Mexican for the podium, but don't know if anyone spotted that. They put the wrong flags above Perez and Vettel.
Oh, I missed that completely.
Yeah, Perez is now German and
Excellent.
Vettel's now Mexican.
Well, he is taking Perez's seat next year, so
Yeah, may as well just keep the same flag on the car. Why not?
Fair point. We appear to now have our sort of usual Rockstar and Wanker nominator on Discord, Wings Triumphant, who helped set the Discord up, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
He's also got a wet track for actually existing for more than 5 minutes and actually having an impact. Lance Stroll, Rockstar Award. For Saturday, definitely.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, I think he destroyed any Rockstar credentials on Sunday.
Yeah, but that's the day you always sleep it off. Perez, though, he's on the Rockstar list.
definitely.
Yeah, Perez on the Rockstar. Grosjean on the wanker list. I'm sorry, but
I think we put Stroll on the wanker list. He completely lost his head. He questioned his team when they tried to bring him in. That's what fucked him up. And then he proceeded to drive backwards.
by a lot.
By great margins.
By a non-zero amount. For using topical phrases. I don't know, I mean, you know...
He came not winning by a huge number.
Yes. Yeah, he almost fell out of the points.
I mean, he was in a damaged car, but he still screwed his tyres up.
To be fair, though, damage to the floor suggests that that doesn't happen by accident. That's He's had
that's
a little wankery trip into a gravel somewhere,
yeah,
hasn't he?
that's going to be a curb or a gravel thing. Although I read front wing.
Oh, I'm sure I read floor.
But even
Either way, they don't break by themselves.
Front wings don't just fall off. Or the classic mum phrase, well, it didn't get there by itself, did it?
And when people were overtaking him, he went like full on dangerous. I mean, the only reason Charles Leclerc got ahead of Sebastian Vettel was because Vettel was put in a position where if he didn't back out and go offline, he was going to hit Stroll.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah. I don't know that was entirely Stroll. That was just down to conditions, though, I think, more than anything.
Oh, I don't. He went for a Daniel Ricciardo lunge in those conditions, and it was just ridiculous. You know, he was going to crash. He was going to crash into the side of Vettel. It was Vettel that stopped them having an accident. If that would have been Grosjean that Stroll tried it on, it would have just been a plane crash.
Yeah, and famously as well, Lance Stroll does not look in his mirrors when when being raced. There are YouTube videos dedicated to the fact that Lance Stroll doesn't look in his mirrors. I don't think it's fair to put him in the wanker list because of his performance on Saturday. We've been talking about how amazing Lewis Hamilton's performance was on Sunday. Lance Stroll's performance on Saturday, probably just as important for Lance Stroll, but when it came to the race, he did fall away after that halfway point.
No points for Saturday.
I reckon we give him the James Blunt Award. Does a good job in one way, but the thing that he should be doing the best is absolutely crap at. Everyone loves James Blunt's Twitter.
It's a strange way of looking at it. But...
I get it though.
And obviously Lewis Rockstar as well. I don't think we mentioned him.
I was just going to say Rock God, basically. I think winning your seventh title.
Jesus Christ, Paul! You're going to get tonsillitis off the end of his penis.
Hey, it's only a one-off. Is that one? He's Robert Plant, basically. Another wanker, AlphaTauri, for whatever the hell they did to Gasly's car.
Yep. Also, wankery Bottas for not pulling out of the way under blue flags, and then I think only actually getting out of the way because he, by mistake, went out of the way.
Yeah, what was it? 4 laps. 4 laps. Lewis was stuck behind him, and I
don't think it was 4 laps. I think it might have been 4 blue flag points, which is the point at which you start getting penalties.
And he was in front of Perez, Leclerc, and Vettel for quite a bit as well.
Yeah, it was Did you hear about the radio message? Lewis's radio message to Mercedes.
Yeah, what was it? Tell him to move out of the way, otherwise he will get a penalty.
No, it was Valtteri's getting blue flag. Someone might want to remind him to move out of the way.
I enjoyed Lewis's radio message when he radioed back into the garage, because I take it he'd already told them to be quiet at this point. But when he radioed back in, said, "Look, all I want to know is, are these tires going to explode?"
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just check on Amazon. The return of the suggestions for Captain Obvious.
Oh.
Valtteri Bottas, bit of a disaster. Yeah, I don't think
that was his tweet, I think. Wasn't it?
I don't think we need any more than that,
No.
do we?
Is his career finished?
Oh.
Or with the Rosberg meme.
Yeah.
So, all in all, bit of a classic.
Yeah, it was solid.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
It's a best race of the year. I can't see us having a better race than this year for the rest.
Right, Bahrain Squoval, it's down to...
I don't know. I think the Bahrain Squoval will be interesting.
I'm looking forward to the Squoval, only because I think Ferrari are going to really struggle on it.
And the fact that Squoval's a really fun word to say.
Yep.
Yeah, it is a fun word.
Yeah, it's a very strange circuit, and I am looking forward to seeing. I think this is going to be the first lap of a Formula One race that's likely to be under a minute, especially in qualifying, possibly over that in the race.
But yeah, I mean, F1 have said they don't want any circuits that can be lapped in under a minute. And I think they're only doing this out of necessity and like, oh, fucking hell, it's 2020.
In a pandemic,
Yeah.
rules do not apply.
Yeah, nothing counts. And I don't actually think we'll see a circuit like this ever again. You know, just bloody watch, and it'll get to next year, and they'll announce something at fucking Daytona or full Indy
No, but unless
or
this is an
something.
amazing race, you know, unless it's amazing at the Squoval for some unbeknown reason, I don't know what that would be right now. But if it's an incredible race, then maybe they'll consider it, you know, shorter circuits a bit more. We'll see, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you know, IndyCar right the race on
more
ovals,
laps
but
than any other.
It'll probably be like 80 laps.
Isn't it 89? I
Is
think
it
they're saying?
89?
Is it that many?
Fucking hell.
Jesus, what? Glad we're not doing the live blogs
I
anymore.
think
That'd
that's
get
eight.
confusing.
Yeah, I think they're saying there's 89. I think it's 89. I mean, I'm going to have to Google this now. I'm going to do some right-handed Googling whilst holding my microphone in my left hand.
Are we going to take bets on the over/under for how many laps Latifi's behind by the end of the race?
Oh, hell.
I mean, we're not even previewing that one for another fortnight because we've got a week off coming. Then we've got normal Bahrain next.
Is that the Sakia Grand Prix? Is that what that is?
Yes, I think the Sakhir Grand Prix is the Squoval. I'm not entirely sure. Right, as far as the news goes, there isn't really a great deal because we're kind of at that point of the season and there's still contracts to be arranged and seats to be sorted for next year that nobody seems to have done. Very telling from Gunther Steiner this weekend about the lineup for next year, saying, if we were able to tell you, sometimes we can, sometimes we can't, and this is one of the times we can't. In other words, 2 current F2 drivers that haven't got the super license points.
Yeah.
Although Yuri Vips now has enough super license points.
He has. He was AlphaTauri's reserve driver for the weekend just gone.
So if it all falls apart with Tsunoda, we could be seeing him as Gasly's teammate next season.
Yeah, because I think he's one that benefits from this 30-point thing, isn't he?
Yeah. If your progression was affected by COVID, and of course,
which it was for him,
because he couldn't get to Japan to do the Super Formula. So yeah, he might end up at more races next year. We could get don't know if we'll see him racing or not. But we could get to see him in the odd FP1.
Possible.
Okay, I've got the official answer about how many laps the Sakhir Grand Prix will be. The 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix, which takes place over 87 laps of the Bahrain International Circuit.
That's quite a few.
That is many. Well, if IndyCar can do
Yeah.
ovals on sub 1 minute circuits, I'm sure F1 can give it a go on similar tracks with more corners.
Yeah, I think as a one-off experiment, why not?
The whole of 2020 has been a one-off.
3.543 kilometres, and I think 3 kilometres of that are straights.
So that's like the length of the prom.
Yeah.
No, that's miles, isn't it? That's 3 point...
No, it's 1.6
No,
miles.
it's 2 miles.
it is,
just
sorry,
over
yes,
2 miles.
yes.
Yeah, so 3.5
Yeah.
kilometres.
Yeah.
That takes more than a minute, though, doesn't it, at the minute?
For anyone that doesn't
Just
know
a
what
bit.
Douglas Prom looks like, go onto our YouTube channel and just look for the shit Valencia Grand Prix. So does that mean
10 pence Valencia.
so does that mean that the Sakhir Grand Prix is going to be slightly less shit Valencia?
Hopefully, yes. Less shit than Valencia would be a good start.
It's going to rain, innit?
It's 2020. Don't rule anything out. Right, shall we shunt it?
Yes.
Why not?
Well, in which case, let me close my Google window.
I have just got the recording window
There we go.
open. Phone face down.
Phones
Yeah,
away from
I
me.
nearly closed that. That would have been interesting.
We have made that mistake at this end before, have we not?
Yes,
Yes,
I have. Yes, I have.
This one was sent in by, is it James Pascal? Is that how you pronounce it?
I assume so. You've got it written in front of you.
I think so, yeah. I'm going Pascal.
Is it Pascal with an E on the end?
No.
Oh.
Or was it a QUA job?
No, P-A-S-C-H-A-L-L.
Pashal. Could be.
Yeah. That's
Tell
what
you
it
what, James. Drop us a tweet and let us know how to pronounce it.
This is where he's James rather than James.
You're listening
Yeah. Well, that's his own
to
fault.
Pronunciation Corner on 3 legs or wheels. Who's playing music? I can hear music. Who's playing music?
Oh God, is it the neighbour? I'm not playing.
Yeah, I
music.
can't hear
it.
anything.
It's you then. Because me and Lee both heard that.
Yeah, it was like ambient.
Oh,
sort of-
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Like elevator music?
No,
No.
like synthwave.
Oh,
Yeah, like an ambient swirl.
it wasn't me.
It's Anyone hijack the Discord?
What's up?
Ambient swirl is a new ice cream.
It sounds like a pastry. I think it sounds like something you'd have with a cup of coffee.
No, ambient swirl is absolutely a Ben and Jerry's ice cream. But the problem is, there was it was Tim Dillon. I was listening to do stand up the other day, and he said the problem with Ben and Jerry's is there's always something in it you don't want. He said it's like you get chocolate and caramel and bits of my couch. Right. I was born
Yay.
Yeah.
in 1965.
Okay,
Okay.
so 55.
So 55.
I am American.
Right.
Right then.
I have 4 F1 podiums and 1 F1 win.
So, are we thinking potentially not driver?
Yeah, because I can't think of any drivers that would be around that age. Well, American drivers that would be around that
Yeah.
age. I'm going to go for it's not Scott Speed.
So, one win.
If you'd be looking at somebody who was around in the 90s, and I can't think of any American drivers who were around in the 90s, let alone successful ones.
So it's one win and 4 podiums.
Which for an American in Formula One is very successful.
That is, yeah. So yeah,
I have 41 entries in Formula One.
Is this guest time now?
Oh no, you should have had guessed.
yeah.
that
I think we
before,
were
but-
still. I thought we were still talking, and then another clue turned up.
Whoopsie dillies.
Right. So, I think it's a thing.
I think it's going to be a something of that nature.
It's definitely not Christian Fittipaldi.
It is not, or it's going to be
Or
a
Michael Andretti.
non-racing
Yeah,
person.
Michael Andretti was not good.
I mean, it could be
Mario Andretti was good, but he's too old.
It could be somebody related to a team, sort of in a team principal kind of.
How about Adrian Reynard?
I don't know who that is, so I can't
Because
help
he was the American of British American Racing, BAR.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if he maybe did slightly more than 2 seasons before BAR was then bought up by ProDrive, wasn't it? I think eventually.
I think it was just given to ProDrive to manage.
Right. So I want to say Adrian Reynard.
That's a good one.
Guess.
That's a good one.
He's probably older than that if he's still alive. I think he might even be dead. But I think he's probably older than that. But it's a good shout for a first guess.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
He owned a chassis making company.
Yeah.
Because Reynards were the big ones alongside Dallara and up to 1997 Lola.
Fair enough.
In 1976, I achieved.
What was it?
41
41 entries, by the way. Did you say the previous clue?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yep. In 1976, I achieved my greatest success, scoring 20 points and finishing 5th in the Constructors' Championship.
It's not Adrian Reynard.
It's very not Adrian Reynard. Right. So American-based teams that have been going for a bit. Well, that had.
You can have one more and then give me a guess, and then we have this game back on track.
better get the next clue in
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
My first entry was a McLaren powered with a Cosworth engine.
Okay, so I'm definitely thinking team.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was back in the days of buying customer cars and sticking a Ford DFV in the back of them.
Well, McLaren were powered by Cosworth for a short while as well.
In 1976, everyone apart from Ferrari was powered by Cosworth, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so, actually.
This guy keeps writing F1, F-1, and I think it's disgusting.
What is your preferred styling of F1?
Just a capital F and 1 will be fine, or spell the fucking number.
Fair play.
F-1 makes it seem like a fighter jet.
Right. I'm just thinking back through 70s teams. So best result in the 76 season only did 41 races, so that's only going to be 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. From the way it was round about then, because obviously that was pre-Concord agreement and not all the teams turned up at every race. Because some of them didn't go to like South Africa and Brazil, and
yeah,
I think everyone only turned up at the 76 Japanese Grand Prix because Bernie had bought the TV rights, so all the sponsors went, yes. Aside from that, so if they were in the 76 Constructors' Championship, then we have to think about what teams got mentioned in Rush, because that was heavily round the 76 Championship.
Yes.
And obviously 21 in those days was too young for a driver. Definitely too young for a team owner. So I'm thinking
it's a team.
It's got to be.
Would have been 11
in 76 if they were born.
I think it's. Yeah. I think it's a. Yeah, if they're born in 65, they would have been 11.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's good. It's not a person. It's got to be a thing.
If they were driving if it was a McLaren powered by a Cosworth engine, that definitely leads me to think team.
I think
wouldn't be March. That was all British.
Could it be something like Firestone? Have they ever? They've done tyres.
They have done tyres, but I think they've done more than 41 races.
I think they're Japanese.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, I have a feeling that Firestone aren't actually American.
Fair enough.
Cooper tyres are American. You reckon Cooper may have done an entry in Formula One for a few races and then gone, nah, that's enough.
Could have done.
I'm going to rush you for my own sanity.
Rush. See what you did there. Yeah, Cooper tyres is a good call.
Yeah, let's go with Cooper tyres.
British drivers David Hobbs and John Watson have driven for me.
Right. All the American listeners are now going absolutely mental because they know more about David Hobbs than we do because he was one of their commentators that Statman used to work
I
with
see.
when it was on NBC.
Oh, sorry, not Hobbs. Hops, isn't it? Sorry.
I thought it was Hobbs.
Hops, it's got here.
Oh.
H-O-P-P-S. But,
Do you trust the spelling of a man who hyphenates F1?
I'm just saying, yeah, I was just going to bring up the hyphen gate.
Do you know what? I think I may have been getting confused. Firestone and Bridgestone being
Bridgestone
Japanese.
are
I can't remember
Japanese.
which one.
I'll let you have
case.
both, but they're wrong.
Don't.
In which case, no, I'm just thinking then one of them is Japanese, and I think I may have gone for the wrong one.
Bridgestone
possibly.
are the Japanese ones, and I think they own Firestone. They were Bridgestone's
Fair
American brand. Or they certainly are. Certainly might be now.
Right, yeah. Firestone in that case are the American brand.
Yeah.
If Bridgestone are the
I'll
Japanese.
give you a
Anyway,
clue.
Lee says it's not.
I'll give you a clue that the answer to this quiz has about as much to do with rubber as a horny stripper.
Right.
So quite a lot.
No, wrong.
You didn't used to see some of the clothes that I used to sell in my old clothes shop and some of the clientele that I had. Anyway. Right, some kind it's a team then. Next clue?
Yeah.
Or a thing that's in a car.
Could be a thing, but not a
I
tyre.
like Ferrari. My team had a long sponsorship deal with Philip Morris.
Just trying to think of other Philip Morris brands.
This is not an area I excel in.
There is no Spaffer.
Beyond Marlborough, I have no freaking idea. Anybody else have a Marlborough-sponsored car?
What about Silk Cut?
Um,
Silk Cut Formula One team, was there not?
Yeah, but that was...
That was in the 80s, though.
yeah, but I want to say...
Silk Cup sponsored it. Loads of motorsport for a while, didn't they?
Sponsored everything. They used to sponsor the rugby.
What about cigars? Hamlet.
Benson and Hedges, not Philip Morris.
Right.
I only know that because of the TV advert. It just used to say Hamlet, the cigar from Benson and Hedges. Not being an expert on tobacco, because I just used to smoke Marlboro, and that was it. Is there another clue?
Yeah, too.
Oh, thank God for that.
It's left the sport in 1977 to focus on my efforts in on IndyCar, where I achieved my greatest success.
I reckon it could be Lola, because they have had IndyCar success. Because I think they would have made chassis and possibly put a team in. Although buying a McLaren.
There's not going to have ever been anyone like a Dale Coyne or an AJ Foyt or anyone randomly dipping their toe into F1 for a year or two.
Not that I can.
I can't picture it,
of.
but
Yeah, Bobby Unser Racing or something. I don't know, I think we might need the
number 10.
next and final clue. Why is there no Spaffer?
I have 2 NASCAR championships and 5 IndyCar championships.
Did Penske put a team in Formula One?
Do you know what? They fucking did. And the Penske,
Because they are always sponsored by Marlboro, or they were.
yeah, the Penske's looked exactly like an 80s McLaren.
Yeah. because they were red and white with the Marlboro logo on them. It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, and I'm sure Penske had a Formula One team for a while, and they have done both NASCAR and IndyCar. Chris, I think you've got it.
I think this is sounding good.
Ask the question.
Are you Penske or Roger Penske of some description?
I am Team Penske, formerly Penske Racing.
Yeah,
Yay.
I'll take that
Well
one.
done, mate.
Do you know what? There could have been a very easy spaffer in there. My owner owns IndyCar.
That's not a spaffer. This is the answer.
Oh, come on. Sometimes with the way that we think these through, that's what the spaffer has to be. That was a really good one, though.
Yeah, that got us thinking. It got the old
It was
cogs
tough.
turning.
Yeah, so, Lee, we've said this 1,000 times before. Actually, we haven't. We've only said it 273. How do you send in a total shunt?
You can send me a personal message on Twitter or Instagram by looking for @ATotalShunt.
And if you want to get hold of the show, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at 3 Legs 4 Wheels. And to get us individually, we are
At Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
and at Pablo100. Of course, you can always go old school and email us 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. And if you want to hear a little more of us, although not this week because we've not had time to record one tonight, we do an extra show for our Patreon subscribers every week. It's chatting about sort of various things: music, movies, comics, life in general. Quality of burgers has come up recently quite a bit, hasn't it?
It's an important subject.
It definitely is. If you go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels, I need a drink. You can sign up there from as little as $1, £1, or €1 a month, and you can get the main podcast early. And if we've got sponsors, you get the ad-free version. Can't say fairer than that, can you?
No, not at all.
It sounds
Not
reasonable.
really.
Right.
Just give us money.
We'll be back next week. We'll be previewing the final triple header of the season.
Yeah. That's it. Is it two Bahrains?
2 Bahrains and an Abu Dhabi.
And an Abu Dhabi, yeah.
That sounds like some kind of Cockney transaction.
I'll have 2 Bahrains and an Abu Dhabi, please, love.
Yeah, that would be a manky.
We're going to be absolutely beaten by F1 by the time this season finishes, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's like we're already on the ropes, and the referee should really be calling it, and then we've got a triple header.
Yeah, I'm looking over at the corner and I can't see the fucking towel,
No,
and that is
not at all.
that's concerning me.
Oh, there's already been a Russian banker involved that wants to see us die in the 5th.
We will make it to the end of the season. We can do this. Thanks to everyone for listening. We'll see you next week. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.